The 4th of June 1944, 0712 hours. Northern France, a P-47 Thunderbolt breaks through a layer of low clouds. Its wings tremble from heavy fire. The pilot smells burnt metal in the cockpit. He hears the sharp crack of 20mm rounds passing close. Below him, a German armored column rolls along a narrow road. Above him, a pair of Bf-109s close in. Their engines sound sharp and hungry. The American pilot pushes the stick forward. The Thunderbolt tilts down. The engine roars with a deep growl. Wind pressure builds on the canopy. The aircraft begins to fall, not drifting, dropping. Fast, the airframe shudders as the dive steepens. The altimeter spins. The sound changes from a roar to a scream. The German fighters hesitate. The P-47 is moving too fast. Its heavy frame cuts through the air like a falling stone. The pilot fights the pressure on the controls. His vision narrows at the edges. The trees below expand into clear shape. The road, the column, the target. At the bottom of the dive, he pulls the trigger. Rockets streak forward. The column erupts. The Thunderbolt climbs again, engines shaking from the strain. This moment is only one page of a far larger story. If you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. The P-47 Thunderbolt did not appear by accident. It rose from a pressing need in the early years of World War II. By 1940, American commanders understood that any future air war would require an aircraft with range, strength, and firepower. Designers at Republic Aviation, led by Alexander Kartveli, studied reports from Europe. They saw how fighter units struggled with limited altitude performance and weak armament. Kartveli began work on a concept that broke from earlier designs. The early outline called for a heavy fighter with a powerful engine. The Pratt & Whitney R2800 Double Wasp offered more than 2,000 horsepower. With this engine, the fighter could climb above 30,000 feet. It could reach speeds above 420 miles per hour. It could carry 8.50 caliber machine guns. Each gun produced a strong impact against armor, aircraft, and ground targets. Engine size forced a thicker fuselage. This created a heavier aircraft that weighed more than many light bombers. To pilots, it looked large and blunt, but inside that shape was strong armor, self-sealing fuel tanks, and a rugged airframe. Engineers designed a turbo supercharger system that allowed the P-47 to fight at very high altitude. The ducting for the system ran along the belly and added more weight, but it gave the fighter excellent performance in thin air. Strategists wanted an aircraft that could escort bombers over long distances, dive fast, attack ground targets, and survive heavy damage. The P-47 became the answer to that need. When the first P-47 units formed in 1942, pilots had doubts. The aircraft was heavy and large. Newcomers said it felt like flying a barn door. Training reports complained that the controls were stiff at low speed. Accidents occurred during takeoff because the long nose blocked visibility. In one squadron, 3 aircraft were lost in the first month due to engine issues and pilot error. Enemy pilots mocked the fighter. German intelligence briefings described it as too heavy to turn well. Some reports called it a bomber that tries to act like a fighter. Early combat missions revealed weaknesses. The P-47 could not match the tight turning circle of the Bf-109 or the FW-190. New pilots often tried to dogfight the German aircraft on their terms. This led to losses. One after-action note recorded a pilot saying, "I tried to turn with him. I should not have." The turbo supercharger system also needed careful handling. New mechanics required more than 100 training hours to understand the layout. Malfunctions caused power loss at high altitude. Communication radios had interference issues. Many early ground crews felt the aircraft was too complex for field conditions. Despite these struggles, experienced commanders believed the aircraft had hidden strengths. They pushed their units to learn the right tactics, By 1943, pilots began to understand the P-47 properly. Its weight made it poor in tight turns, but that same weight gave it unmatched dive speed. Crews discovered that the Thunderbolt could reach speeds beyond 500 miles per hour in a controlled dive. It remained stable at high velocity. German fighters often broke off when they saw how fast a P-47 could fall. Its 8.50 caliber guns delivered nearly 100 rounds per second. Against enemy aircraft, this produced destructive hits. Against ground targets, it allowed long, controlled bursts. The aircraft could also carry bombs and rockets. Its rugged frame and armor kept pilots alive. Many returned with holes in the wings, damaged engines, or missing control surfaces. Reports noted Thunderbolts coming back with more than 200 bullet strikes. Pilots learned to use altitude as their shield. They fought using boom and zoom tactics. They climbed, attacked in fast dives, then climbed again before the enemy could trap them. The engine and turbo system allowed strong performance above 25,000 feet. This made the Thunderbolt an excellent escort for heavy bombers. It could also outrun many opponents in a shallow dive. By late 1943, the reputation of the P-47 had shifted. It became known as a tough, fast, hard-hitting fighter. Mission 1, the 15th of August, 1943, near Bremen, Germany. 31 P-47s from the 56 Fighter Group escorted B-17 bombers on a deep strike. The sky was clear at high altitude. The bombers flew in tight formation. Below them, German controllers scrambled more than 40 fighters. Bf-109s attacked first in head-on passes. The Thunderbolts broke formation to engage. Captain Robert Johnson led a flight of 4. He saw a group of FW-190s rising from the south. He ordered, "Stay high, hit them fast." His unit dived together. The American aircraft closed distance quickly. The sound of 8 guns filled the air with violent vibration. One German fighter broke apart. Another caught fire. The remaining FW-190s tried to climb, but the P-47s used speed to stay above them. The fight lasted less than 10 minutes. Bombers reported reduced pressure from enemy interceptors. The Thunderbolts returned with damaged wings and empty ammunition belts, but all aircraft landed safely. Mission to the 12th of January 1944, Belgium. A low cloud layer covered the fields. Snow made the landscape bright. The 365th Fighter Group flew a ground attack mission. 24 Thunderbolts carried bombs and rockets. Their target was a rail yard that supplied German forces on the Eastern Front. German flak batteries opened fire as the P-47s approached. Black bursts filled the sky. A pilot shouted, "Brake left." The formation scattered slightly but kept altitude. As they began their attack run, a group of FW-190s appeared from the west. They fired into the American formation. Lieutenant Harry Gamble took the lead. He ordered his wingman, "Stay with me." He pushed his aircraft into a steep dive. Snow and rooftops rushed upward. The engines produced a deep vibration. The airframe shook hard. Gamble released his bombs at low altitude. A fireball rose from the rail yard. As he climbed, an FW-190 chased him. Gamble pushed the stick forward again. The dive was so fast that the German pilot broke off. The Thunderbolt survived with minor damage. The rail yard was destroyed. Mission 3, the 5th of March 1945, Germany's western border. The war was entering its final months. The 362nd Fighter Group flew close support for advancing Allied troops. Weather was poor. Rain and wind reduced visibility. The pilots relied on radio reports and brief openings in the clouds. A German armored unit tried to block a river crossing. Allied ground forces requested immediate air support. 12 P-47s responded. They flew low, barely above the treetops. The sound of their engines echoed across the forest. Major John Thompson led the flight. He saw the German tanks lined up near a bridge. He ordered, "Targets ahead." Rockets first, the Thunderbolts rose slightly, then dived together. The wind made the approach unstable. Rain streaked across the canopies. Rockets left white trails and struck the tanks. Explosions shook the ground. German anti-aircraft guns opened fire. Several P-47s took hits. One pilot yelled, "I am hit." Still flying, Thompson completed another pass, firing the .50 caliber guns into the armored column. The German unit retreated. The bridge remained in Allied control. The mission course to damaged aircraft, but no losses. Ground forces advanced within the hour. These engagements showed how the Thunderbolt evolved from a doubted machine into a decisive battlefield tool. American factories produced more than 15,000 P-47s between 1942 and 1945. Production lines ran day and night. Each aircraft required large amounts of aluminum, rubber, fuel systems, and ammunition. Logistic networks delivered thousands of spare parts to units across England, Italy, and later France. Thunderbolt units flew more than 500,000 sorties. They fired millions of .50 caliber rounds and dropped significant bomb tonnage. German forces noted heavy losses to these attacks. Compared to enemy fighters, the P-47 often survived damage that would destroy lighter aircraft. The P-47 also freed up other fighters for escort or interception roles. As doctrine improved, the Thunderbolt became both a shield for bombers and a hammer against ground forces. German pilots learned to respect the P-47. Many called it the stone from the sky because of its fast dives. Infantry units feared its sound. Troops wrote in diary entries about the sudden roar of the Thunderbolt engine. One soldier wrote, "You hear a whistle, then the ground shakes." The aircraft's rugged frame created a belief that it could not be destroyed easily. Crews sometimes watched a damaged P-47 limp back to base and land safely. This raised morale among American units and lowered confidence among enemy defenders. Ground troops developed a slang phrase. They called it the bulldog. It meant a fighter that did not stop coming. As the war progressed, engineers upgraded the Thunderbolt. The P-47D became the most common version, with improved canopy visibility, larger fuel tanks, and better armament options. Later models carried up to 2,500 pounds of bombs. They also fired high explosive rockets with strong accuracy. The P-47M introduced higher speed for interception roles. It could exceed 470 miles per hour. The P-47 added long-range wings for operations in the Pacific. These versions gave the aircraft new missions: long escort flights, fast response interception, heavy ground attack. By 1945, the Thunderbolt reached a mature form. It blended strong engine power, heavy weapons, and reliable construction. By the end of World War II, the P-47 Thunderbolt had destroyed thousands of enemy vehicles and aircraft. It flew countless escort missions and ground attack operations. Losses were significant, but far lower than expected for such an active combat role. Early doubt about its size and weight faded. Pilots learned to trust its strength. Crews admired its ability to bring damaged aircraft home. Opponents respected its speed in dives and its firepower. A former German pilot said, "If a Thunderbolt had height, you did not challenge it. It came down to fast." The Thunderbolt remains one of the most powerful piston engine fighters ever built. It earned its legacy through strength, speed, and relentless performance.